So, you've just been back from your lovely holidays in Greece. You enjoyed a great time and you enjoyed lovely Greek food, authentic traditional Greek food. So you come back to your country and you still want to keep all those memories and experiences going. So you're looking for a Greek meal. And you try and find a Greek restaurant in your town or your city that serve the type of food that you loved in Greece. Well, how do you know that if that restaurant says they serve authentic Greek food, it is actually the case? Well, in this episode, I will tell you 10 things that you should look for in a Greek restaurant that will tell you whether they are serving authentic Greek food or not. Welcome to a well-shaved episode of the Greekosophy channel. My name is Tom. Let's begin. Okay then, just a word of warning before we begin. Pretty much like any other type of cuisine, the Greek cuisine and the Greek restaurants outside Greece, most of them fall into the same trap that any Indian restaurant or any Chinese restaurant or Mexican etc. will fall. And what I mean by that is that a lot of times you will see something on the menu portrayed as a traditional Greek dish that has nothing to do with Greece or with traditional Greek cuisine. Now I can appreciate that sometimes the problem arises with the quality of the produce. What I mean by that is, for example, that you cannot emulate the great taste of a Greek salad you have in Greece outside of Greece, for example in the United Kingdom, because unless you can find tomatoes from a Mediterranean country to bring, the taste is not the same. And the same applies with other things, and it's pretty much understandable. If you go to a Thai restaurant, sometimes there's ingredients in there that you will not normally find in a traditional Thai recipe in Thailand, and that's most probably because some of the ingredients are very difficult to import in the other country. But today I'm going to give you 10 relatively easy tips of how to find out for yourself if the Greek restaurant that you've just arrived at actually serves authentic traditional Greek food, because a lot of Greek restaurants that say they do that, you'll be surprised that sometimes they don't. So let's begin. Okay, I understand that you're all fed up with me and my videos on Greek salad, but this is actually one of the easiest ways to find out what to expect from the Greek restaurant you've just arrived at. Just order a Greek salad and see if they serve it with lettuce in it or any other type of greens. If they do, that is not a very good start. Send it back, explain to them that come on mate, Greek salad doesn't have a lettuce in it. And if they insist on serving you that, then just get up and leave, because if they cannot get the basic right, then most probably your evening will continue like that. I can understand again that a lot of restaurants do that because to cut the costs, but if you're going to serve a traditional Greek dish, you really have to serve it in the traditional Greek way and with the ingredients that it should have. If you want to put the price up a bit because of the cost, then so be it. A Greek salad, if it has all the proper ingredients, it will be one of the most expensive salads in there. Fine, but don't ruin it by putting lettuce. So yes, that is the number one thing that you should do when you go to a Greek restaurant. Order a Greek salad with the remaining of the stuff, and if you see lettuce in it, no, it's not going to be a good night. I know I'm not going to be very popular here, but again, if you go to a Greek restaurant that prides itself on serving authentic traditional Greek salad and you see hummus in the menu, that is not a very good indication. As I said in other videos, hummus is not traditional Greek. It is not Greek at all. It's a Middle Eastern. It belongs in the Middle Eastern cuisine. And I know that a lot of restaurants jump on its popularity and add hummus to their menu. But would you go to a Chinese restaurant expecting hummus on the menu? Would you go to a Mexican restaurant expecting hummus on the menu? Would you go to a Japanese restaurant expecting hummus on the menu? No. So why should you go to a Greek restaurant expecting hummus on the menu when it is not Greek at all? So yes, a lot of Greek restaurants will have hummus in the menu, but then don't expect them to be 100% authentic. They have just added it because it sells. But for me, if you say you're authentic Greek restaurant, you should stick to authentic Greek cuisine. There are plenty excellent dishes to put in the menu. Hummus is not one of them. Now, for a Greek, this is a fairly easy way. Because every Greek has grown up eating dolmadakia from their moms, their aunties, their grandmas, and they know how delicious they taste. But if you haven't experienced that, and the only experience you had of dolmadakia, stuffed vine leaves, was from the can, it is very difficult for you to realize just by tasting it whether it's homemade from the restaurant you visited or already bought out of a can. So here are a few tips that I'm going to give you and try hopefully to make you realize what is the difference. Now, one of the biggest giveaway if you're a Greek is the taste. It is very difficult for me to explain what I mean by taste, but if you're a Greek, you realize that it's come out of a can because it has a particular taste. I don't know how to explain it. It could be a mechanical taste, something that doesn't feel coming out of fresh produce. It's very difficult. But have a look at these two photos here, and what I'm trying to explain to you is the difference between the homemade dolmadakia or dolmades and the ones coming out of a can. Now, normally the ones that you make from at home or yourself are not as uniform in size and in shape as the other ones that have been stuck together in a can for weeks and months. So the homemade ones, they can be various sizes, they cannot be as perfect, and this is one of the easiest ways to understand that. The other one has to do with the color. Normally the homemade dolmadakia are not as dark green in color. As you can see on the photo here, they are of a lighter green color. I don't know what causes the ones in the can to take this dark green color. Maybe it's something in the preservatives that they put there. I have absolutely no idea. If anyone of you knows, just let us know in the comments below. Another clue has to do with actually the how soft are the vine leaves. Normally or usually in the homemade ones, they will either melt in the mouth or be very, very soft. You will not even have to chew them. But the ones coming out of the can are quite chewy. The leaves are quite still, not as tender, and you find yourself, chewing it a little bit. So that's another clue. So these are the things that you should look out in a Greek restaurant when you order dolmadakia. If you see them nicely dark green, same shape and form, mainly large, quite chewy when you taste them, most probably they've come out of a can. But if you see them smaller in size maybe, but not as uniform and nice and soft, and they just melt in the mouth, you're into a winner there. Another easy way to find out whether the restaurant is traditionally Greek, especially if you're accompanied by a Greek person, is the misspelling of the names of the Greek dishes. And I mean not just a typing error, but a complete misspelling of the dish. I will give you an example of a particular restaurant in the city where I live. And that was in the menu. and also in the menu that they had outside on the windows. Now, it has to do with the word spanakopita, which is obviously, if you know, spinach pie. Now, if you're a Greek, it's very difficult to misspell it, okay? It's easy. But as you can see in those two versions of the word spanakopita, they have completely killed the word. And if you're of Greek origin, you definitely realize that this is definitely not the way to say it and pronounce it. I believe that now the restaurant has realized their error and they have changed them, but for the last year or so, it was all there to see. And it was a very easy way for me personally and other Greeks to realize that maybe the owners are not Greek, or maybe whoever did the menu was not Greek. But definitely, if you're Greek, you should look at it and realize that no, there's something going on there. This is another really big pet hate of mine when I visit Greek restaurants, that they serve everything with rice, chips and peas. That doesn't happen in a Greek restaurant unless you're in a tourist trap. Okay, in Greece we don't serve everything with rice and chips or peas on the side. Each dish has their own accompaniments, or they don't have any accompaniments at all. If you want chips, you order a portion of chips. If you want rice, it will have it on the dish. So for example, you know, pork casserole with rice, it will have rice because it's pork casserole with rice. But I will not order a moussaka and expect rice on the side, or peas or chips. Believe me, that has happened a lot. A lot of people outside of Greece, they think that moussaka, for example, or pasticcio should be accompanied with chips or with rice or with peas. And when you don't do that, they say, oh my God, you know, you're Greek and you don't know that this, you know, should be accompanied like that. And you're kind of tempted to say, I am actually Greece, and you don't know what you're talking about. But you don't say that. But yes, if you go to a restaurant that you've ordered some dishes and every single dish comes with a side dish of rice, chips and peas, no. Pita bread, another easy way to understand. And here is a bit of a background here. If you haven't watched the video on 10 things that you thought you knew about Greek cuisine. A lot of Greek restaurants outside of Greece run by Cypriot owners. And Cypriot cuisine, although it has a lot of similarities with Greek cuisine, it also has a lot of differences. And one of the differences is the pita bread. Cypriot pita is very different to Greek pita. The Cypriot pita, most probably you know it, a lot. It's like if I put my two palms together and I slightly open it, it has the opening on top, and you fill it in like that on the side. And it can break very easily. If there are any juices in there, it can dissolve very easily. The Greek pita is round. It's round, thick, and basically you can warm it up and eat it on its own. It is very tasty. So in a Greek pita, you put everything on top and you wrap it, and it's fantastic. So if you go to a Greek restaurant that serves you, for example, Arabic flatbreads, or things like that, again, that is not authentic. In a Greek restaurant, normally, when you sit down, they will serve you bread, proper bread. And if you order, for example, things like kebabs, stuff like that, then you will see a Greek pita. But an authentic Greek restaurant will give you Greek pita. A Cypriot restaurant will give you Cypriot pita. If the two mix together, that's something. But you won't find any flatbreads or anything like that. So be very careful. Bread, yes. Greek pita bread, yes. But flatbreads and other stuff, no. That is again a Middle Eastern part, Middle Eastern cuisine. And if you mix them together, then there's no authentic Greek in there at all. Most probably, I should have put this particular point as number 2 on my list because, again, it's one of the easiest ways to realize whether you're sitting in an authentic Greek restaurant. And that is if you don't see any pork dishes at all in the menu. That is a dead giveaway because Greeks eat a lot of pork. In fact, it's the biggest, it's most popular meat in Greece, and therefore to go to a traditional Greek restaurant and not having even pork souvlakis, in the skewers, then you're not in a Greek restaurant. Yes, I can understand if that particular restaurant is in a country where pork is prohibited. I can understand that, yes, but in any other occasion, if you don't see any pork whatsoever in the menu, that means that that's not traditional Greek restaurant at all. Another dead giveaway, if you know your herbs and your Greek tastes, is the lack of mint. What I mean by that is that in Greece, we don't use a lot of mint in our dishes. We use a herb, we use a spearmint, but we normally do that in a dried form or a fresh form to do our keftedes, for example, or our burger patties. But we don't do things like, for example, lamb in mint sauce or anything like that. The basic herbs in the Greek cuisine, and I've already put a video up for that, is mainly oregano, is thyme, is rosemary, herbs like that. But if you see mint-based sauces in the menu of that restaurant, that is not authentically Greek. We've reached another pet hate of mine. Ready-made dips and sauces. The amount of Greek restaurants I've been to outside of Greece, that they serve me tzatziki or tara masalata, or even tirokafteri, spicy cheese dip, and you taste it and you know that they bought it by the ton from a wholesaler. You will be surprised how many restaurants do that, and I don't understand that. I mean, tzatziki is one of the easiest and quickest things to do, and when they serve it without even made from proper Greek yogurt, which is like a substitute thing that looks like yogurt but is not like yogurt, then you kind of think that, well, if your starter, if your dip, you haven't made the effort to make it yourself, and you pride yourself for being traditionally Greek, then I don't want to know what you've done with the rest of the dishes, the more complicated dishes. So if you've been to Greece, you must probably have tried the proper tzatziki, the proper tara masalata. You know that it tastes a lot better than the ready bought one. So again, if you go to a Greek restaurant and you order it and you see the tzatziki being very watery, or tara masalata really smelling and tasting fishy, the proper one does not, then you know that run! And finally, desserts. Now, traditionally in Greece, Greeks don't eat desserts after their meal, and that's because they had a massive meal anyway. So most of the time they will be offered maybe Greek yogurt with some honey, drizzled with honey and some fruits, that sort of thing. It's not very, if we want a dessert, we will go to a Zacharoplastio, which is like a dessert shop, and eat something there, or take it home with us. But that's not the case. I don't expect that to happen in outside of Greece. But what I mean with dessert is, if you go to a traditional Greek restaurant and suddenly see on the menu things like tiramisu, panna cotta, and desserts that have nothing to do with Greek cuisine, then you should really question as to why is that. Pretty much like I said with the hummus or the Greek salad. If you look for traditional Greek desserts, you would expect at least, for example, some rachtoboureko or kadaifi, or even yogurt with some honey and some nuts on top. You would not expect to see Italian desserts there, or other countries' desserts. That is another giveaway. So those were the 10 things that you should look out for when you go to a Greek restaurant and expect a traditional, authentic experience. I hope that you will be able to use some of them, or even all of them. I don't expect you to be a food critic when you go there, but at least this is a very quick, rough guide on a few pointers that you may be able to pick and realize whether that particular restaurant offers you a true Greek food experience or not. So thank you very much for watching. Any comments or any questions you would like to ask us about, just ask them in the comments below, and we will be happy to answer you. Thank you very much again. Until next time, see you.